because we've got Matisse versus Wham. I'm sure some of you are maybe familiar with this this Wham guy. He's kind of known around the block. You may have seen him on LAN recently, but maybe some of you need to be refreshed on who Matisse is. Matisse, very talented player. Good old Polish lad. Has been grinding out on the ladders, looking for his big opportunities, pop-off moment for a long time. Hasn't been able to make the deepest of runs in tournaments, but a very talented player. I truly believe that. Matisse, he started off as one of the golden HRE boys. He was one of the HRE Grandmasters, as I referred to them, in 2021. Him, Guz, and I feel like there's someone I'm forgetting. Those are definitely the two leaders in the first few months of release, but there was someone else that I'm totally forgetting, who were really kind of like the gods of HRE. They were really paving the path for everyone to kind of figure out further down the line. Coming to this year, Matisse decided to try to deviate, learn more civs. He took up the Rus. He was very efficient, very proficient, in fact, with them in the Rus meta. Wasn't able to make the deepest runs. Still felt like Matisse needed to kind of broaden his horizon. French was always in there as well, but you know, it's always me looking to see Matisse kind of really pop off with all 10 civs, and I hope he gets there because I think he's micro-wise a very talented player, and he has some interesting build orders that other people tend to snatch up. Let's see what he can do with the French here. Up against one of the Walla not so lol, but more godly players. It is, of course, Wham. Wasn't able to pop off big time at Walla, but definitely a very talented player. Won top 16 by that logic in AoE 4. On his OPA account, I mean, Wham is a grinder, right? Honestly, he's more of a grinder than those machines you find in the big factories. He grinds harder than I grind my teeth at night. This lad has so much at the top of the ladder. He has ranked 10th, 11th, and 13th on AoE 4 World right now, on the ranked 1v1 ladders. And he consistently does this, by the way. He's done this in previous seasons. He's done this month after month. He's always up there. This guy is absolutely relentless. Wham, a more, I'd say, calculated and maybe deeper playing player, shall we say, than Puppy Paul. That's not to say that they both can't play deep in, but I'd say if you kind of lined up the timings that both these players play towards, I'd say Puppy Paul is maybe seen as a slightly more aggressive player. Wham is definitely a player that feels very comfortable in that mid to late game timing. However, when you play the Mongols up against the French like this, late game sounds stupid. We want to play now, which is why we see these early spears coming out. But Matisse, he did set up this outpost straight away. So no opportunity coming out for Wham to be an annoying Mongol player. Instead, he's going to just have to settle for maybe a mid-map outpost by the looks of it. And admit that he might have to come under some raiding fire later. In fact, looking at this opening, everything's fairly condensed. Gold is close by. Uvu is behind in a choke point. So doesn't have to worry about getting clapped by knights too hard here. But he will if he goes for this. It looks like he wants to do Silver Tree. Understandably so, because if you check the back of his base, this is begging for it. This is why the Mongols can feel pretty good on wetlands, is a lot of the time you tend to get these kind of crazy wood swans that create natural walls for trade. So he's at least got a third of the map that is fairly secure, very hard for French knights to raid into. The rest of it is quite open, though, so that's something to keep an eye on. Looks like the Mongols aren't done. They are going to march around. Outpost. It's going to be dropped on the ponds. A smart play here, trying to limit the long-term scalability of pond usage that Matisse is going to have. Because remember, this is something that Wham likely can't do. Because he's playing Mongols up against French and he failed to get his initial outpost up, he knows these French knights are coming. With these French knights, you end up getting map control as Matisse. And that means that you get the opportunity to potentially play onto these dock locations, or rather these fishing locations. But Wham might struggle. Outside the initial one, right next to TC, of course. One thing you do want to be careful, though, if you are Matisse, is playing out a little bit too fast with these mills. Remember, they only cost 25 wood, but although it doesn't cost you much, it pays pretty damn good for Wham. If he torches these down as you move around, he's going to get paid 50 each time. Good positioning so far. So blocking out the food extension, blocks out the south side closer to him. That's also going to give him yams, so he's able to get much more rapido across to the enemy base. I mean, this is a decent layering. It's not really what you wanted. Ultimately, you want that gold vein. Especially if you could have snuck back here, because you would have blocked 2 gold veins, right? I was half expecting Wham to try and bring the villager all the way around the back. The problem is, if he had gone around the back and dropped an outpost near this mill, the 100% would have been a villager pull from Matisse, and you would have lost the villager plus an outpost. This way you get some long-term value. Looks like traders are going to start being pumped. Remember, Wham's goal here is to get long-term value in terms of outposts near the base that don't force an initial pull, but do force Matisse's attention to them. Because the longer that you can draw him towards his own base to deal with these pressure points, the less likely it is that he sniffs out the trading that you're attempting at the backside. Kind of feels fitting that we're just watching Wham trade, right? So it's almost just become his meme, while whether intentional or not, courtesy of Beastie. Seems like Matisse is suspicious, though. He's on the move and... Oh. Where are you going? Oh, no. Well, buddy old pal, the goose is cooked. The game is up. They know. He has got Magadai. Okay, so this is... Magadai are decent, but the problem is you are up against archers, right? The Magadai can still work for Wham, but he has to force fights away constantly. If something becomes static about these engagements, the archers will catch up, and archers will destroy Magadai. The range advantage, the comparative costs. Like if you have the same cost in Magadai as the archers, like archers can win. There's Magadai. Nice initial pressure. This is really important. This is what I mean by like Magadai counter French. They're very good. Back in the days where French players just massed knights, Mongol Magadai destroyed them for this very reason. You get kited, you can't touch them, but of course the Magadai, they're drive-by cannons. It's only 7 damage, but remember 4 of that is going through your armor, so it definitely hits hard. What's up, Slim Stainsy? Oh, Stainsy? Sorry, Slim Stainsy. I see you coming through. Much love, bud. Welcome back to the Swarm. Clearly it's getting too late for me. Stainsy. There's quite a lot of bloodstains on this poor little knight. Magadai counter is also escalating fast. This is really good from Wham. He's once again drawing attention away from the trade towards the French base. This is always his intent. Archer's now arriving. Means he's going to have to reset for the moment. But more traders are on the way. More Magadai also adding into this. Now, the point to keep in mind is if you can get enough traders online, you will boom Magadai count high enough that it doesn't matter that archers count you in equal numbers. Because... or in even equal investment, shall we say. And what that means, by the way, is that there will be 1.5 times archers to Magadai. Because you'll be able to produce so many Magadai that the French player won't be able to keep up in archer count. Remember, the cool thing about wetlands is you get all this food. This food is great for knights, horsemen. Not so much for archers. Archers primarily cost wood. And the French do not get any eco benefits in that department. The only thing they really have working for them is cheaper wood gathering upgrades. So he's once again on his way towards that trade route. So he knows that it is online now. Stables are now going to be added in. So Wham says, I don't want to fight the archers directly. I should have enough extra to add in horsemen. Considering that Magadai, you know, they are going to cost me a chunk of gold. But only 120 food. And I say only because this is fishing eco we're talking about. It's quite substantial. And you are correct. It is worth having more mills as the French. But one thing to keep in mind is like it's more raid points. Sometimes French players forget to delete these or they're worried that a Khan has hit them. So it's just more things that can be extracted from them. Instead, we're going to see a French player moving on the ball. Brings one villager too many though. So we'll fix that and peel him off. There's going to be more fishing over here. So a lot of food coming in. I would love to see an extra stable being added in soon. The problem that Matisse has is until they deal with the Magadai factor and that's removed from the table, they're not going to feel comfortable building more. Instead, they need more archers. You could even consider something like a secondary TC play in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Maybe drop a TC towards the left side, secure the deer plus the fishing. That might actually be worthwhile. It's kind of one of the annoying things where it's like you've got too much food, if that makes sense, right? You've got too much to work with. Of course, the benefit is you can switch more people to wood, though, right? Because you've got so much food coming in. You need less people on it, but clash towards the base of Wham. A good clash for him as well, Horseman. Going to move forward straight away onto the archers, trying to extract as many of them as possible. Magadai really need to retarget onto the archers first. They're going to get peeled. Nice back away just in time. So clash comes out, and overall, good fight for Matisse. You can see the destroyed value so far heavily favoring him. Wham. If you can get rid of the remaining archers, these knights will be chased down and killed off. They've got chivalry for now, but that's another annoying thing, remember. When you disengage, try to run away, you're always being peppered by these Magadai, so chivalry can't even kick in to save the day. This knight count is getting quite large. Matisse, he wants to set momentum on his side. He wants to be flipping the script, but looks like he might once again be forced to retreat and defend. He's going to march in. Scout has snooped out the trade underway. Nice interception on the reinforcements coming here. Wham admitting he cannot fight directly right now, so instead he will stop this reinforcing line that Matisse is sending out, and Matisse, in reaction, will bow to the pressure. He has to run all the way home. Oh, this is the worst feeling. When you have to do this, you're not happy. Like, you were so close to achieving the raid, but the problem you just have is there's probably going to be something here to keep you at bay, and you're also now being threatened not only on your military trickle of troops, but also your eco lines. Just a good read by Wham to understand his power in this situation. An unfortunate circumstance for Matisse to not be able to do anything with his clearly superior military force right now. Now, Wham is going to stop investing now. This is where he's likely to go towards Castle Age because he can freely. And Castle Age will give him so much extra power in these Magadai. He probably won't stop investing in them. They're still going to be a damn good unit here. They can even actually match up against the archers with an age advantage at that stage. But he'll also add in knights. Knights that will be good enough to beat out the French knights. Because with these forward outposts and the maneuver arrows, what he can do is he can bait Matisse into charging and then pull away until the charge ends. If you do not get the charge off as the French, you don't have that bonus damage. So you'll lose against Castle Age Knights. Looks like Wham is coming from multiple angles now. Unfortunately for him, unfortunately for Matisse, Matisse has a very condensed economy right now. Now, this can turn into an unfortunate circumstance if Wham commits to a dive. Because Magadai, although they do 7 damage each, drive-buying with 6 of them will cut down the villager count viciously fast. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Horseman adding in as well. So a few villagers are going to be sniped out. We'll look to move away before the wall can go up. So we'll get his way out. Archers maybe get 1 Magadai for their trouble. In fact, they don't even get that. Walls are at least now going up. Wham. Didn't find an opportunity on the western flank, but what he has done is he's secured... Oh, okay, no, he hasn't. He had secured the trade. Now, fortunately for him, he doesn't really need it long term. He has got the step readout now building up, so he's achieving his true goal of Castle Age. And, oh, no. Matisse is playing with fire there. He just about gets the wall up in time. Wham wasn't able to quickly get in position to punish that. But still, at the end of the day, Wham is getting the tech up. Now, Matisse is following suit, but he's doing so with the guild hall. So this Knight Mass isn't going to get this big booster in Castle Age, where they'll be able to get access to the Royal Bloodlines, and you'll be able to switch into Arbitriers with the upgraded stirrups. Instead, it's going to be the greed of the guild hall. But while he gets his greed, he has shut out Wham's. Wham isn't able to trade right now, has been blocked out of inflating himself further. Has at least got that step readout gathering rate. Needs something else added into the mixer at this stage. I'm still trying to be a nuisance. A lot of injured villagers in the area. But no opportunity. I say that. If he wants to throw away the horseman, he could kill 3 or 4 villagers here. Wait, what? Wham? We know... Wham, buddy. We know this is walled off, don't we? Go looking elsewhere. Oh, no. The villagers. Oh, good move by Matisse there. He's still in the area because he's trying to indefinitely block out the trade, but instead he's also idling eco and killing a few villagers in the process. So good maneuverings. He understands that Wham isn't strong enough to contest him just yet. Magadai count is low enough that he's not likely to want to upgrade them, and the Lancer count sure as hell isn't big enough to deal with this many knights yet, now that they are also Castle Age. Matisse is really on point with the way he's played this early game. Like, Wham done a great job of forcing Matisse to defend, but Matisse has always kind of been optimizing for aggression and defense at the same time. And he's reached that stage with minimum casualties. Just look at the destroyed value here. You can see what I'm talking about. Like, Wham, you can say, sure, he had this trade, so he kind of like has extra to work with. Yeah, but also at the same time, you're up against a French player. And French players, with these premium units, if you can't kill them, it eventually still has value down the line, right? It's not like you're building cheap horsemen or spearmen that you need to eventually replace because they're useless. You're building French knights. And Sunshine is correct. There is a big upgrade difference. The upgrade difference comes out because of the French costs as well, right? Like, they're paying less. Also, keep in mind that the melee tech upgrades are free. As you heard me right, they are free. So it is a bit deceptive here. Realistically, he's only got himself 3 tech ups, but if you compare that to Wham, he has none. Only just got his first one. This might be a good fight for Wham. Oh, good baiting. Matisse, I mean, he has to try and run away here. Maneuver arrow is going to be engaged. Remember this Magadai, they only tickle at this stage, so that's the upside for him. Only 2 damages going through. So maybe he loses 1 more knight and makes his way home. Behind this, he's still massing, remember. More stables being dropped. Probably needs to think about farm soon. He's running out of food sources quickly. Either that or he needs to extend to the left side of his base. But to do so, he's going to have to set up some long walls. That's why he didn't peel the knights all the way back home, by the way. He wants to keep them mid-map so that Wham can't funnel him in. If Wham pushes him into a corner, any move that Matisse is going to make is predictable. If he keeps the skirmishes in the mid-map like this, he can move villages out. He can secure new areas with these wood walls without risking his villagers being sniped. Wow. What's going to be the next move here? I'm looking at his composition, and I like that he's adding more Magadai. I was wondering if he was going to go back to this. Like, eventually just get the upgrade as well. Like, honestly, I think veteran Magadai is really where it starts to shine. Early Magadai, you need so many of them to kill off these knight masses. But once you get vet Magadai, you know, they're still glass cannons, but they get a substantial increase in their health. Percentage-wise, I think it's like 20% extra. And their damage increases by, I believe it's 2, if not 3. How much is trade taking? Not a lot. Wham, he's only up to 9. He's beginning to escalate it again, but it is a slow process. He's always worried about these raids. I mean, it's a very, very big knight line right here. Could cause him some big issues, especially with this coming in. Military Academy on the way in 15 seconds. So that knight count is going to escalate even faster. Wham's a little bit slow in comparison. He hasn't gone for Military Academy himself. He doesn't have the economy to support it. Traders really need to get that gold home, which is why he has to force the fight here. Has to engage with Matisse. Matisse willing to take that clash every day of the week. No upgrade come through the Magadai yet. Front line of Lancers is not holding long. A good fight coming in for Matisse. One that is going to push Wham back into his base, and maybe he gets 1 trade through, but that's all he'll get out of it. He'll once again be forced to idle out. Really good understanding of the situation there. Matisse essentially just twists Wham's arm. He says, okay, either lose the trade or lose the army. And Wham, I'm not even sure losing the army is necessarily the right choice there. Like, I don't think he done enough damage. There's chivalry to consider here. You lost a lot of premium units in terms of Lancers killed, Magadai dead, for 1 wave of traders to get through. About 200 resources each. So what, 10 total? So you got 2,000 resources. I'd argue you possibly lost more than that, right, in that fight, or close to the same. This is what I want to see instead. This is much better. So there's the Vet Magadai I talked about. So it gets an extra 2 damage plus the range damage upgrade. Got an extra 20 health. Like I said, substantial, almost 25% increase in health. Means you can take an extra hit from a knight as well. But he needs to hit these knights in small groups. You can still be sniped out by these archers. They have been vetted up. With a count of 25, it's substantial enough to push you back at all times. And there's those walls we were talking about. Exact reason, but Matisse needs these skirmishes in the mid-map at all times. Because Matisse, what he's doing here is paying a lot of food for these knights. So he needs to ensure that he always has pocket resources. He cannot afford to go farms. Farms would put him heavily behind considering Wham is trading as well. The quick walls. Matisse needs to tap them up. Just about keeps the Mongols at bay, but not for long with walls that weak. Oh, might want to delete the wall and run, bud. Might want to delete the wall and leave. Oh, no. Okay, just a few Magadai now vetted up are going to kill a lot of villagers here. Even with textiles, you're still going to lose a lot. So full army response comes in. Khan is going to attack the entire Knight Battalion. All right, mate. Calm down. Wow, I think overestimating just how much of a god one Khan can be. Now, behind this, Wham has bought a lot of time, and look at the escalation. This is what we need to see. Lance account is booming fast. Trader's definitely adding a lot in. So long-term, it's paid off, because once again, Matisse, instead of finding a way of turning the screws and shutting the trade down, he's been forced to return to base. And even with Knights, you're now far, far away from doing significant eco damage to Wham. Wham, in the meantime, is just in the base. Lancers on the prowl. Oh, free snipe out into the Monks. Gets both from before they even bank the relics. That's a big whoopsie from Matisse. Only banked one so far. He's at least going to get good bang for buck out of this Monk, though. Two right there. People saying the food difference is going to kick in. It's not just the food, folks. It's the gold. Keep the gold in mind as well. Like, Matisse, he's over-invested in the gold because he pulled out the guild hall, right? No. Wow, he's just been over-booming in gold entirely. And there's that food switch that we were talking about. It's not just the income numbers, it's what it means next. Right? Pastures were very gradually laced in by Wham. So he was set for this point in the game. On the other side, Matisse just had to invest. How many farms is that? 17. 17 farms at 75 wood each. That's over 1,000 resources. It'll set him up long term, but it sets him back now. That's important because it maybe offers up an opportunity for Wham to recover one he desperately needs. You see Matisse doubling him up militarily. Still has the Knight lead as well. Villagers are going to be pushed back. This is an important detail. Wham, he has got the static point defenses to help him against this, but he's now not gathering food that he desperately needs. And look at the move from Matisse. He understands all too well. This is a flow, a rippling effect. Move across. We idle eco here, and now we look for trade elsewhere. Or we could dive the base. This is a bit more ambitious. Let's bring an outpost. We're going to start shooting into him. A lot of villagers, though. And not enough room for them. 25 villagers. Oh, my God, Matisse! The jump in. No hesitation. He sees an opportunity to pounce, and he takes it. Villagers will make loose and run for the outpost, but a heavy hit here. What a move by Matisse. He sniffs it out. He says, idle him back. I'll idle him 6 feet under instead, sir. No escape. No witnesses. Such a heavy hit. Matisse needed that because he was being sniped in his own base. The raid came in from Wham as well, so just as much eco damage has now been done to Matisse as has been done to Wham. In fact, Wham now has a 53 eco lead, courtesy of the trade still booming at the backside. What a game this has turned into. Both sides sick of dancing around each other. Both sides sick of going back to their base to defend. They commit. And you can see the long-term value because Matisse had to walk away. These Spruan and placement outposts, too much of a nuisance. And after all is said and done, both are battered and bruised evenly. Matisse has destroyed a lot more value, yes, but Wham, because the way his eco is played out, has had more value to give. And that still maintains, still holds true to this very point. It's Wham, like a shark, circling a poor, defenseless villager in water. So many villagers to kill. So little time. Pick your poison, pick which you want to kill. Matisse is still running back home this entire time. He only just arrived and Wham is milking him dry for it. This cow no longer brings milk, it just bleeds blood. Very Paul the Udder. As this is utterly painful to watch. Matisse idling half his eco, half his remaining eco. Woodlines as soon as he's going to cut through if he's not careful. That's going to offer up another golden opportunity. Matisse, still no way of cutting off this runaway. Wham, more layers on the way in. What a turnabout this is. Matisse going from full map control to now being lost in a never-ending tide of Mongol hordes. And they come in waves, baby. Trade levels are good enough now. 10. Sheeps, infinite. Farms exposed at all times. This is one of those benefits where just being condensed in this one location allows you to layer in outposts and make it so hard for Matisse to raid in. After that raid, after that hit, after that exchange, just look at the difference now. At this rate, Wham is going to be doubling up in Lancer count tonight. A dire circumstance for any French player. Matisse. Always running around in his own base. I feel like there should be a trigger point in the game where it starts actually playing Benny Hill's music. Farms being talked out. What a move out of Wham. He gets paid for this. It's 75 wood for Matisse to replace. It's 50 resources for Wham. That's 125 resource differential. He'll take every day of the week. Well, looks like it's time for the shift change, boys. We're going to leave. Night Crew's taking over here. Night Crew seems appropriate because soon I do think Matisse is going to be saying goodnight in this game. At risk of being doubled up economically. Military count is now neck and neck, but a clear lead for Wham as his military is all Lancers. Lancers of which Matisse has no clear answer to. Clash is going to come in next to the TC. No difference to Wham. He has double range upgrade. He's being tickled by these arrows. Knights are going to be massacred. Matisse has no clear way back in this game. He's being bled dry of resources, villages, and knights alike. With the never-ending tide of Mongol Lancers into his base, I see no way in which Matisse can easily recover this. Behind it, even men-at-arms coming out. I think that was a misclick. But screw it, they can be annoying too. Just a brilliant play by Wham. It looked very awkward when he had to sacrifice his army near his trade to cover one trade, which I think netted him probably 1.5 to 2K. Maybe I miscalculated that. Maybe he didn't lose as much value, but like, let's be real about this, folks. Look at the destroyed value in this game. Tell me who's been getting better bang for buck. This is absurd. Yet Wham is very clearly the one in control because he's been sniping eco. He's been building an eco lead. He can afford to bleed out of both wrists and legs. Meanwhile, Matisse is over here with a giant spear through his chest. I think the bleed damage is going to be a little bit more substantial there. The second TC at this point, I mean, you know desperation is fully set in for Matisse. A momentary break before the next onslaught comes. Wham. Whoa, 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 whoa. Someone wants to join the Knights of the Round Table a bit too desperately there. You're in the wrong country, though. This isn't the English, this is the French. The de Chevalier will not be able to hold for long. Once again, Wham just getting a little payday on the side with all these mills situated around. Wham. You could probably even add in another stable or two. Just inflate these production rates even further. Arbitrary now coming out from Matisse. I'm glad of this. This is maybe the one way you can try to recover the game, but he needs to be fast about it. And producing 1 or 2 a minute is not going to be fast at all. Remember also, gold is going to be a limiting factor. I think he's on his final vein behind his base, so if he loses this army, if he doesn't take good trades, he's out of this. He needs to gain ground. He needs to do so fast. Maneuver arrow does come out from Wham. Pursuit going to be given. No charge coming up from Matisse. He hasn't got the bonus damage. This is an even fight. No one has the lead here in terms of output per unit. However, in terms of quantity, Wham clearly has the lead. Matisse will be forced to stand and fight. Only 2 arbitrary to form a back line here. Wham once again will peel off. Heavy damage done. Just look at the count. Matisse now in single digits. This is done. No way back. 3K gold behind your base. Infinite gold for Wham. means infinite wins for the Mongols in this matchup. No way for Matisse to come back. Matisse like, well, it's not over, bro. It's not over. I've got double TC. I've got farm now. Okay, I'm not delusional. I'm going to admit it. Great plays from Wham there. Love the way that he flipped the script each time. Each time the French horde came knocking, the Mongols done the same. And each time Matisse bowed first. He blinked first and retreated back. And that's what allowed Wham to wiggle his way back in this game. And when you run that stage where Matisse is finally ready to say, I'm doing it, I'm going in, Wham somehow finds more value from his raids despite the fact that his entire eco is in one location. 50 villages ready to be butchered, and yet Wham is the one doing more damage. Wham-tastical coming out from him there. Just great plays all around. Love the way he pivoted the trade back and forth and essentially kind of reeled his opponent into just obsessing over it, but never fully shutting it down. And getting through to this later phase in the game where he was just able to trivially outmass a French player in night production. Great plays.